Hello, I'm Catherine Carson. I'm the Lee County Emergency Management Agency Director, and I appreciate all of your attendance at this event today, and I appreciate all the care and concern that has been showed to us by the media throughout this event. At 2:03 p.m. yesterday, this community experienced a devastating blow in the form of a tornado that created a lot of destruction, death, and injuries within our community. This is the worst natural disaster that has ever occurred in Lee County, and it's we have never, most of us cannot remember anything ever creating this much of a loss of life and injuries in our citizens. Earlier today, we received a phone call at the EOC from President Donald Trump, who indicated to us that he has been in contact with our governor, Governor Kay Ivey, and he expressed his sincere condolences and that he is thinking of all of us, and that he just wanted us to know that. And on that note, I'd like to introduce Governor Kay Ivey, and thank you, Governor Ivey, for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. A little after 2 p.m. yesterday, tornadoes ravaged parts of our great state, leaving behind trails of devastation and the loss of human life. We lost children, mothers, fathers, neighbors, and friends. To know Alabama is to know that we are a tight-knit community of people. And today, each of us mourns the loss of life of our fellow Alabamians. Our hearts and prayers go out to these people who have lost their family members and friends, and all those who are impacted by these storms. Amidst this tragedy, we have a job to do. We must build back Lee County to its feet. Today, all of Alabama is focused on Lee County. And y'all, as your governor, I want you to know I've got your back. We will do everything that's in our power to help the citizens of Lee County recover and come back stronger. Alabama's EMA staff is already working with the local and federal emergency management officials. This morning, about 8:15, President Donald Trump called my cell phone. He wanted to know about the devastation. I certainly told him that we had had tragic loss of life and a lot of property damage. And he asked what he could do, and I said, well, Mr. President, we're working with FEMA to craft a request for expedited disaster recovery declaration, and we'd sure appreciate your support. He responded immediately saying, of course you've got my support. To the state I love, he said, you folks in Alabama are wonderful people, and surely in your time of need, I will support you. He has since told FEMA to give the state of Alabama their A+ treatment for the state and for all the wonderful people that live here. So to the people of Lee County, please know that we are here today to stand with you today, tomorrow, and the days and weeks ahead. We will stand together and get through this together. And before I close, I surely want to thank all of the local first responders for responding so wonderfully well, especially during your time of personal loss as well. Sheriff Jay Jones, I want to thank you especially for your great leadership. You've been the quarterback, and we thank you. And a special thank you to local legislators who have stepped up to help, and especially those that were on the grounds late last night. We could not overcome this devastation without all of us working together. And so, to the folks across the country, I also want to say thank you to all of these people who have shown us their support with their outreach of love and calls and letting us know that they are available to help should we need them. Y'all, we will overcome this loss. We've done it before, we'll do it again, and we'll do it together. So may God continue to watch out over Lee County and continue to bless the great people of the state of Alabama. Now I'd like to invite EMA State Director Brian Hastings to the podium.
Thank you, Governor Ivey. First of all, our condolences to those who have lost family members, loved ones, friends, and the suffering that's going on in Lee County and the other counties who have been impacted by the tornadoes that devastated our communities yesterday. I just want to let everyone know that we are in support, and we want to let Sheriff Jones know that the full force of resources of the state of Alabama, and if federal assistance is required, is behind him. And we appreciate your leadership, Sheriff, and the leadership of Kathy of the Lee County EMA. And so we just want to let you know that we're one team, one fight, and we're just trying to plug in and be compassionately intrusive into their operations to let them know that we're here to support, identify gaps in capabilities, and make sure that we minimize loss of life and the suffering of the people of Lee County and the surrounding areas. We appreciate all the things that you have done for us, Governor Ivey, in allowing us to unleash the authorities and responsibilities of Alabama EMA and our local EMAs to take care of our local citizens. And we just want to let you know that if there's a need out there, please work that through the Lee County EMA. If you need some assistance, 211, and we'll be working with volunteer services, the Red Cross, and other volunteer capabilities to make sure that we funnel volunteer services into the community in an organized way to make sure that your recovery goes smooth and we get you to a better tomorrow. So thank you all for all you do. Thank you to the first responders, the community. It's a whole of government, whole of society, whole of Alabama effort to get us back to a new normalcy and get everyone taken care of as we move forward during this recovery. Thank you very much. Kathy.
Thank you very much, Governor. Thank you, Director Hastings. I would like to also reiterate that we are very appreciative of all the first responders, fire, law enforcement, EMS. Every kind of responder you can imagine has converged upon Lee County, and we certainly have everything we need in order to see this mission through. And we pledge our assistance to our citizens throughout this event. This event will not be over in a week for them. This will be something that has impacted their lives, and they will require our support in the months and possibly years to come. Next, I would like to introduce Chris Darden from the National Weather Service. Chris. And he will give you some information about the tornado that impacted our community.
All right, thank you, Kathy. First of all, before I get started in some specifics, I was going to mention that I actually had the chance to come out here late last evening. I was actually home. I actually didn't work yesterday. You know, we have an amazing staff at the office, and I don't actually always have to be there. But you know, I know when it hits the fan, I have to be on the call. And I saw the storm as it was moving through Lee County, and knew it was going to be bad. So I rushed down here, and I got here, and it was hour zero, and I already saw that folks were already responding, and it's Alabama. I mean, you have a call for 5 people, and 100 people show up. It was amazing what I saw here last evening. So, in terms of the actual assessment so far, we're still in the early stages of that. So, I want to let you guys know this could change. I mean, the information that we're putting out now is very preliminary. But the tornado that hit Lee County and did the most significant damage, we are upgrading that to an EF4. This is new information that I want to provide to you right now, hot off the presses. Estimated wind speed of 170 miles per hour. That's based on damage that we found not far from here on County Road 39. John DeBlock and his team is out there assessing that right now. 2 other tornadoes that we're assessing, 2 other tornado tracks we're assessing Right now, one is in Macon County. That's the one that moved from Macon into Lee County. Actually, the interesting thing about that track is it actually probably crossed the long track EF4 tornado in some spots. That one is going to be an EF1 most likely. We're also looking at damage in Barber County. We have not gotten to the worst damage, we don't think yet, near the Eufaula Airport. But so far we have gotten at least EF1 damage with that one in Barber County. Now I want to go back to a little bit, talk a little bit more about the one in Lee County. I walked the track here on Highway 11 earlier, and I estimated the path width at 0.87 miles, or almost a mile wide. So a monster tornado as it moved across the area. Early estimate, at least 24 miles long. Our counterparts at the Peachtree City office in Georgia, they're surveying on their side of the border, so that track could be longer. In terms of the watch warning process, we started doing briefings about the threat of tornadoes early Thursday morning. So well in advance, 72 hours in advance, we started talking about tornadoes. We raised the alarm bells along with our compadres at the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. We upgraded to an enhanced risk of tornadoes, and even mentioned the possibility of long track tornadoes in some of the outlooks on Saturday. And then the watches came out yesterday before lunchtime. I think 11 a.m. is when the watches came out. And we had tornado warnings for Lee County 8 to 10 minutes before the storms actually hit the Beauregard community. One thing I was going to mention, the forecaster who actually put out the first mention of tornadoes Thursday morning, and also the same forecaster who pushed the button on the warning yesterday, Matt Grantham, he's actually from Smith Station. Mayor Copeland mentioned that he knows Matt, they go way back. So I talked to Matt last night. He's doing good, but he's taking it hard. It hit his home area. His family still lives there. So a couple of things I'll mention, and I'll turn it over to, I don't want to take up all the time, but this was the deadliest tornado in the United States since the Moore, Oklahoma tornado in 2013, and also the first tornado fatality in the state of Alabama since November 30th, 2016. That was in North Alabama. And the first tornado fatality in Central Alabama, we got to go way back to March 3rd, 2012. So it's been a while. We've had a little bit of a severe weather tornado drought. So unfortunately, I hate to say we were a little bit due, but it is a tragedy anytime we lose any folks. And again, unfortunately, we lost quite a few folks yesterday. I'll be available, of course, for questions later, but that's all I have right now.
Okay, thank you, Chris. One thing I would like to express also is how much we appreciate the National Weather Service, our Birmingham office. They began to increase the wording, the strength of the wording about this tornado watch prior to, I believe it was yesterday morning, early, strong, long track tornadoes, which is very unusual for this part of the country, for Lee County. So we knew, and we took it serious, and we were able to ramp up our warnings to the public and get their attention and make them understand that you need to go ahead and make your decision now about where your safer place is. And I believe people did that. So there is a good possibility we would have experienced a greater loss of life had that warning not gone out to people. But unfortunately, and it was this way in the April 27th, 2011 tornadoes also. Unfortunately, in spite of every single, an individual or a family doing everything they can and everything they're told, some of these tornadoes are just so strong, you just have no protection against them unless you're underground. But I would very much appreciate, Chris, what you do. I would like to introduce our sheriff, Jay Jones. Come on up. Jay Jones has been the leader for the search and rescue efforts, and he is amazing, and we all appreciate everything that he's done so far, and he is the reason that we are able to do what we do. He is a major reason that we were able to do that. So, Sheriff.
Good afternoon. I want to start with remarks in regard to what our efforts are currently. We started today with organization of search teams that worked the area of major damage. We had an overwhelming response from the community and from volunteers from literally all over the state and from our neighbors in Georgia as well. We even had calls from Mississippi. I have to say that we are so appreciative of everyone's efforts to come and to our aid in our time of need. The search teams have worked the areas of the most significant damage. I am pleased to report that we have not recovered any further victims from the areas that we have initially searched. But I want to offer a caveat with that we have not completed our searches. So we're continuing the area along Alabama Highway 51 and Lee Roads 39 and 38 in the Beauregard community. That's where the most extensive damage was. I had an opportunity to do some aerial observation earlier today, and the track, as mentioned earlier by Chris Carden with the National Weather Service, continues all across the eastern portion of Lee County into the state of Georgia, crossing over the Chattahoochee River into southern Harris and northern Muskogee County. Several homes in the Smith Station area are damaged, a lot of structural damage in the Smith Station community as well. However, our concentration is here in the Beauregard community, where we, of course, as everyone knows, suffered the loss of life, and the families that are without homes now. Our hearts hurt for them. That is the most important part of the issue. We're trying to do what we can to take care of them. We are so deeply appreciative of the support that we've been offered from FEMA, from the federal government, certainly from Governor Ivey's office. We're deeply, deeply appreciative of that, and from our EMA here in the state of Alabama. We simply could not do anything without all of their assistance. We're going to continue our searches as the day goes on. And of course, again, we're looking at some additional areas that we haven't uncovered yet. We want to make sure that we do as thorough a job as we can in searching all of these areas. We've been in contact with families. We have a recovery center, a reunification center at Providence Baptist Church, which is also in the Beauregard community. And thank goodness it was not touched by the storm. We've had our partners in the clergy with the churches here in Lee County. And again, all the responses from the Red Cross, from the Salvation Army, has just been absolutely dramatic and outstanding. And we're very, very fortunate to be in Lee County, in the state of Alabama. The folks in Beauregard are resilient people. They're community-oriented. You will not find a stronger group of people anywhere in regard to taking care of their community and doing what they can to help each other. And again, the overwhelming support from areas outside of Lee County, we are just so grateful and will be eternally grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. I would like to make an announcement. We are asking our citizens, if they have unmet needs, that they call 211 and register those needs with 211, so that we can maybe match them up with something that has been volunteered, either a service or a piece of some kind of equipment that they need, whatever. And we're asking the citizens to call 211 and register their needs, and we're also asking those in the community, businesses that have items that they would like to donate towards the recovery of these citizens, to call 211, also to register what they have, what that service is, what they can offer to our citizens. And those needs will be matched up there, and in other ways we will address that. Also, I would like to introduce Bill Harris, the coroner of Lee County, to discuss where is he. We appreciate Bill has worked nonstop trying to make sure that this very important problem is taken care of. And here you go, Bill.
Good afternoon. As Sheriff said, fortunately our death toll is at 23. As we speak, we are wrapping up the identification of those 23, with the exception of 6 that could not be physically identified by sight, marks, or tattoos. And our next step is to fingerprint those and see if we can get them identified. We believe we know who those individuals are. We've talked with the families, and as of 12 noon today, I had none that had been reported to me as missing, still missing. We think we have everybody. I agree with Jay. I think once they get into some more areas, I'm not going to be surprised if we don't come up with some more decedents. Hopefully we won't. It's just, it's been a long, long night. These families, some have lost just about their entire family. I will probably start talking to families around a little after 2 or 2:30 today. They have been asked to gather at an undisclosed location, so that we can speak to them without any interference from outside sources. So if you happen to know any of them, I'd appreciate you offering them that privacy so they can work through this. And I'll be around for questions if you have any later on.
Thank you, Bill. Also, we have established a registry for people that have missing family members or friends. They can go to our website at www.lecoema.com, and there's a form they can fill out to provide the information about the individual that is missing. And that information is being passed on to the proper authorities so that they can look into those issues. We're also asking citizens in this community that were not impacted and they are okay to register themselves as okay on the Red Cross website, where you can actually say, I'm okay. So if anyone else is looking for those individuals, perhaps they're in a shelter, the shelter at Providence Church or something of that nature. And I'd also now like to introduce the mayor of Smith Station. Mayor Copeland has been very supportive, and we have worked tirelessly to try to provide assistance to our citizens. Now, Smith Station did not experience the loss of life that we saw here in Beauregard, but that does not mean that they didn't experience devastation, and devastation that will take them a great deal of time to recover from. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you to the governor, the sheriff, the state representatives, the county commissioners. Thank you to our EMA responsors, the weather people. Thank you all so much. I am the mayor of Smith Station, Alabama. Yesterday at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, local time, a tornado come through and devastated about 24 homes. We have 24 families that are homeless as we speak. It has devastated our little small town of 5,000. We did not suffer loss of life. We had 2 injuries. Thank God those people have been treated and protected. This storm was devastating. The one thing that I can say is whether you live in Texas, whether you live in Arkansas, wherever, if you hear a siren, take heed. Yesterday it come up so quick that we're not able to really realize what was going on. It is devastating to our city, and we will rebuild. Beauregard will rebuild, but our hearts in Smith Station are with our neighbors in Beauregard, and we just ask that the nation continue to pray for those people as the next weeks, months, and years as they recover, as our county of Lee County recovers. We will all work together to make sure that people are taken care of, and thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor Copeland. Okay, I'd like to also recognize the other elected officials that we have up here with us that are supporting, that they may not be talking to you now, but they are behind us, and they are the reason that we are able to do what we do. At this point in time, we will take questions.
Are you considering a curfew? Kathy, it's been described as this recovery effort will be a marathon, not necessarily a sprint. What are the estimates on how long it will take to recover from this, and when do you hope all family members will be notified that they've lost a loved one?
I can speak to the recovery process, and that's going to vary depending on to what degree. What are they recovering from? You know, are we looking at an insured family that we're supporting them with some place to live until their house is rebuilt? You know, there are people that don't have insurance that we have to find resources for. So you can't really put a timetable on it because it is so different based on every single different circumstance. And I think the coroner can speak to the notification process.
Once we have everybody identified, then we will notify the families. Most of them I've already spoken to, and we'll get with them and then find out what their wishes are as to where they want that loved one released, which funeral home. And we're in that process now. Like I said, we had 22 because one died at the hospital. We had 22 on the scene down here that we did process and identify, and we're at the point probably within the next hour to start getting that information from families on where they want them to go. It's all done in person. I had families come to me and say, I'm missing so-and-so. I had a list. They had a list. Everybody had a list where people knew somebody was calling, hey, this is who I'm missing. And we got the list narrowed down. At one time, we thought we had 26 more individuals deceased, but as we started putting 2 and 2 together, a lot of the lists were doubled up, and we found, identified decedents tentatively of who they were, and that list quickly dwindled down to we're at the 23.
Have you been able to determine how many children died?
At least 3 right now. Ages 6, 8, and 10. 9 and 10. 6, 9, and 10.
Are y'all considering a curfew for this area?
That's not up to me.
Yes, that will be,
Up to the
Sheriff
sheriff.
Jones. Yes.
We're going to keep the area secure until we're satisfied with our searches. So we will be have units, our patrol units and law enforcement in the area, keeping it secure. A lot of, as I mentioned before, a lot of homes are destroyed, and we want to ensure that we don't have any problems with people coming into the area unauthorized.
Sheriff Jones, really quick, we had heard information that a local hotel may be price gouging. What do you want to say about certain scams and frauds as the victims continue to recover, to be careful about that?
Well, I'll just address scams in general. By order of the governor is against the law in an emergency situation, and certainly we would, if we have situations where we detect that there's a scam, we'll request our district attorney, we will enforce the law.
Sheriff, we heard 40 people were still unaccounted for. Can you tell us anything about that?
No, ma'am, I haven't heard that specific number. We still have lots of people that aren't accounted for at this time, but as far as an exact number, I do not have an exact number for you.
Sheriff, can you talk about the resources used in the search right now, dogs and helicopters, planes? What are you using and how's that going?
Right, we've employed the use of canine detection units that are in the area from different areas of the state and neighboring states. We're, of course, have ground search in progress as well. We have used unmanned aircraft drones that have infrared capability to detect heat signatures. We're basically using everything we can get our hands on at our disposal to conduct a search.
Sheriff Jones, every first responder I've spoken with is asking people to please stay out of the area. How long is this area going to be closed off to the public, and do you want to reiterate that message again?
Yes, we certainly would do that. We encourage folks that are not involved in the searches, that are not involved in the area, to please stay out of our area. Let us do our jobs. Let the fire, EMS, law enforcement, everyone take care of what our job to do is, of course, to conduct these searches and have them stay out of the area. We eventually will phase in opening of the area, but it's a little bit early to give you a timetable on that at this time.
Sheriff, have you been able to conduct rescues in this process? And could you describe some if you have?
No, sir, we have not, as of today or during the day today, as mentioned previously, have not discovered any more individuals, victims of the storm. So if we do, we have, I believe, the assets in place to immediately respond and take care of the situation.
How many more homes do you guys still have to go through right now with your search and rescue?
A little difficult to say. I just put it into the dozens. We have a significant area. This is primarily at least a 1 square mile area that we've been concentrating on. But the track, as I mentioned earlier, does continue to the east toward the state of Georgia. So we're looking at other areas as well.
Do you think that work will be done today, the next 2 days?
Hopefully we'll do it today. But again, I hesitate to give a timeline because not really sure if that's exactly what it'll be. Okay.
Sheriff Jones, people want to help out as much as they can. We understand you've been inundated with supplies and resources. What's the best way to help out at this point in time? And a second question, what's your message to Beauregard?
Right now, we have lots of, as I mentioned before, a huge response for food, supplies, clothing, that type of thing. That's going pretty well. As far as I think clothing items in the coming days will be what these families need that have lost everything they have, their homes. I think prayers are in order for all this community, and this community will rebuild. They will survive. They're tough folks, and they're going to make it.
Sheriff, for the people that are still unaccounted for, are you all still maybe waiting for an address? What's the overall typical status of this, of where you all stand in that?
Right, we are operating off addresses that have been provided to us from families. We're checking those addresses specifically, and especially if there's an issue with an unaccounted person. But as of current time, we have not had any further results in regard to victims.
And what's the number?
I do not have a specific number. Sorry.
You said what? Is it dozens or?
I would say dozens. Yes.
Do you anticipate that's because there's a miscommunication, or do you anticipate that it's because they're possibly deceased, or they're in the hospital, or something along those lines?
That's a possibility, but I think as Coroner Harris mentioned a few minutes ago, we've gotten a hold of most of the families, his office has, and I think we're in fairly good shape with that, but again, the work is not done, and we're going to continue.
Have you been able to determine if the sirens went off? The sirens that were closest to the area that got hardest hit?
I don't have that specific information, but I do know that our EMA stays on top of the sirens, tests them frequently, and I can assure you there's one across from my office, and I hear it every Wednesday at noon.
Any update on the victims that are at the hospital? You said this morning that some of them were still in very serious conditions.
Yes, sir. I'm not aware of specific circumstances, but I do know we had some very, very significant and serious injuries to some individuals. One thing, too, a lot of the individuals were transported to multiple hospitals. They didn't necessarily stay here in Lee County. Some were taken to our East Alabama Medical Center in Opelika. Some were taken to the city of Columbus, Georgia, to their facilities. And we also had, I understand, some transported as far as UAB in Birmingham.
We'll take one more question.
Sheriff, were there storm shelters that were opened up at the time in this area?
I'm sorry?
Were there storm shelters that were opened up at the time of this, when this storm hit in this area, and how many?
I'll let Ms. Carson speak to that, okay?
Yes, earlier in the day, with the issuance of the tornado watch, we have what we call termed safer locations that were open for citizens to seek shelter in, and they were certainly encouraged to do so if they were in mobile homes, to go ahead and make that choice in advance. And you had a question about the sirens. If they're I don't know that for sure, but I'm pretty sure they did. But we have, in emergency management and in the National Weather Service, begun to move away from these outdoor warning sirens as a primary method of receiving information to this type. We all carry cell phones, and there are so many apps out there right now. Lee County EMA, the National Weather Service sent out an IPAWS message when this storm was identified as on the ground. Lee County EMA also sent out an IPAWS message in that location. And, you know, IPAWS pretty much goes to every cell phone unless they have disabled that type of emergency messaging. So with the siren, you've got one siren that could be servicing 250 people, and all it takes is one lightning strike, and it's gone.
Do you know if it went off?
I haven't gotten into that as of yet. I believe it did, but
are you investigating that, or is someone
not as of yet, because we haven't gotten to that point. We're still in active search and rescue.
Kathy, it's going to get awfully cold tonight, and
Yes.
probably for the next couple of nights. How are you handling dealing with folks in the cold weather? Are you offering them accommodations for that?
Well, there is a shelter open at Providence Baptist Church for anyone who needs that type of accommodations. That is open and ready to go for them.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.